not as a softer facet as our health is. We're going to talk about what's next in innovation, what's next in technology. And of course, that is an area where India has been growing leaps and bounds. India is synonymous with the technological advancement, technological upgradation, and technological leadership as well. And to shed more light and talk a bit about this, joining us for our next session is Mr. Carlos Montes. He's the lead of the Innovation Hub at the Cambridge University Judge Business School, and he is going to talk about how India, everyone, can become a tech superpower. Now, isn't that an amazing topic to lend your ears to? A big round of applause for him, please.
It's an honor to be here with you. I'm originally from Peru, but have been in the UK for some time. Oops, I've jumped a little. It's not coming. And it was quite a change from the previous conversation on lifestyle. So it's like.
Just click once. Just click once. Don't click it. So you can see the button. Is it working now?
No, it should become there.
Hold on.
Yeah. It should be addressed, so the visuals are quite important in this.
Try once.
Yeah, now it should work. Yes. So it was critical because I wanted to, although this is about how India can become that tech superpower, so very ambitious, but I start with this dress that I think, it was famous 10 years ago. So for those that will remember. So some of you, if I ask you what color is this dress, I'm asking the two colleagues there in front, what color is this dress? You will see, some people will say it's a gold color. How many people here see it as a gold color? You raise your hands. Other people will see it as blue. So it's the same picture, but there is a blue person. I actually see it as gold, and I cannot be persuaded that it's blue. And my family cannot see how I don't see it as gold. So I think I wanted to introduce this because through this conversation, I want to present things to you with a different lens. And we never like to change lenses because we are used to one kind of lens. And my lens is not a lifestyle, although I have done some lifestyle work actually with Jamie Oliver in the UK, but it's about political economy, and that's super boring. And I apologize to you from the beginning because there is nothing people think more boring than economists. And my colleague from Uber said already that what can an economist say that is right? And I think but I will show some obvious things besides this one. So this is an idea from a billionaire. So maybe you can listen to him. He's Peter Thiel, and he's from PayPal farm. So he's with Elon Musk. He's one of the, and he says that what's really important is not what we talk, but it's the contrarian ideas. It's the ideas that we, are perceived as not right by the majority of people, right? And so in the interviews, when he interviewed people, the question that Peter Thiel would ask is, I cannot even read that question that he asked. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? You see, I cannot even read it, but this is what Peter Thiel would ask, to you or to you in any interview. And because he says that that's how you build businesses. And of course, he not only created PayPal, but most of the, the important companies. And my contrarian view, after, working for 30 years with the, European Union, the World Bank, the Cabinet Office in the UK, all these places, 30 years ago with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, with the World Bank, my simple view, which, people will think is obvious, is that solving national problems is not about resources or technology, but about understanding and managing the competing interests within a nation. Okay, we think as a nation like we are teams. I'm from Peru, so Team Peru plays against Team Chile. But it's not as simple. We have different interests within each of these teams. And again, this is an AI-created PowerPoint. My colleague didn't help me, so not all the images will be perfect. That's states and citizens corporations triangle. But this point is simply to say that when we look at a country or a place, it really helps. And this is actually used by the investors in banks. So this model can be put into mathematics. So what the state wants? What's the objective, the main objective of the state, or the political leaders, or the institutions that are with the state? We will say it's the common good, but as an economist, we are not romantic. Okay, we really just see things maybe a little bit too much as self-interest. But the logic is that a politician will want to gain and maintain power. That's the rule of the game. If it's a good politician, that's what they need to do. Corporations as well, for economists, is simple: maximize profits. And citizens, you can have prosperity that people interpret it, as well-being, freedom. We have different ideas of what that will be. But with this simple model, people could look at different countries, right? So North Korea, to put a simple case, in North Korea, if you're a politician there, you need just to have the support of your essential supporters, right? Who would that be? That will be the officials from the party, the military, and as a state, what you need to do is reward those essential supporters. So you provide private support to them, private benefits to them, and that is the way that the regime will work. Scandinavian countries, Finland, Switzerland, they historically have had a broader, and this has been also changing, but it has been a broader set of the population so the aim of the regime is to provide public goods for the entire population. So that makes them more citizen-centric. So briefly, Peru, just to mention it, obviously, these are Peru and Ethiopia, countries of more unstable kind of coalitions. And in the case of Peru, for example, we have had 6 presidents since the year 2000 that are in jail or indicted. So that just shows you an idea. In Ethiopia, again, there are narrow groups that get into the power, into power, and it's contested by the groups that are excluded. So that's how you understand a simple analysis of the political economy. And then you get countries like China, US, and EU, your political, powers. And, in a simple way, we can say that China is a state-led country with periodic market reforms. The US is a corporate-led with periodic populist interventions. And the EU is a citizen-centric with comprehensive regulations. So, just for illustration, this has some data, but for illustration, and because it was done with some initial numbers, you can see that countries on the top is where state power is higher. Countries on the right, so Japan, UK, US, will be more where corporate power is more predominant. And on the left, where there is more citizen power, so Norway, Denmark, Finland, Estonia. So the reason I use that triangle is because when we talk about technology, and we always say, oh, AI is going to solve everything, the printing press, we heard before that the printing press did not solve everything. It took 400 years until education, that made it happen. But these are, the most famous new people in economics, as Emoglu and Johnson. And they say the obvious, with all their story is, the thing that is abundantly clear is that there is nothing automatic about new technologies bringing widespread prosperity. So technologies are not going to bring us this prosperity, but if they do or not depends on the economic, social, and political choice. So the choices that I mentioned before, if you were more into the state side, or more in the corporate side, or more in the citizen side, that's what's going to determine how your technology actually works. So when we say that in India, technology could work in this way or that way, it's going to depend on exactly, how it fits to the model that we have. So it comes to the obvious things, that China obviously has a technology model that is state-led, with limited market, unpredictable regulations, state-backed, where data collection favors the state. In the case of US, obviously it's corporate-led, minimal regulation, and corporates own the data. And this is something that the colleague from Uber mentioned on how actually all that data is with the corporations. And the EU is more citizen-centric, has comprehensive regulations. They have the GDPR, a very detailed list of regulations. And so from that is to say that obviously these countries have done incredibly well. And they have incredible technologies, but with the strengths that they have, there are also risks. So obviously, with China, with all those impressive developments in their technologies and high growth, there is the risk of powerful surveillance and social control. In the US, the Magnificent Seven, as they're called, all the Googles, Facebooks, Metas, etc., they control 35% of the S&P 500. And they are global platforms, they have disruptive innovation, etc., they venture capital. But the risk, obviously, is that they develop a monopolistic power, as it was mentioned in the discussion before, that can lead to control of regulations and even control of the state, right? So Peter Thiel, for example, says that it's not a problem to be a monopoly, because monopolies are even good for the economy. I guess the question is, what happens when those monopolies actually are in control also of the state, right? And the EU, and this is mentioned by a lot of people in tech, obviously has this nice data protection regulations, etc., but it has the risk of over-regulation and tech stagnation. In terms of India, how, and I discussed this with a few colleagues, before to see, is that the world has observed the incredible emergence of India. It's not only a global power, it's, I think, the top 13 investment destination in the world, but Bangalore is the 8th startup city in the world. So it's only, in Europe, it's only second to London. And besides that, the complementarity with the US tech system, etc. On governance, obviously, it's the world's largest democracy and peaceful transitions, a world leader in public technologies, and a talent pool, was mentioned before as well, is the largest English-speaking engineer pool in the world. So that's an incredible set of assets in terms of defining what technology it could adopt and what to do with its technology. I think in terms of the challenges, there is still a low income per capita, and education quality is, again, still one of the challenges. This table just shows you, this is from the World Bank wealth accounts, just shows you a little bit the challenges behind. This is the wealth for the United States, which is about $750,000, and then you have the other countries sort of there. And then this is the table that I mentioned in terms of how that city in India is like after Shanghai, the 8th startup city in the world. And now the key point is how to become that tech superpower. And the colleague again from Uber mentioned before the challenge. He even said India needs to be in a war footing in order to achieve this. And what I present here is that a key thing that India needs to do is look at the options that other people have taken. So China has made amazing progress, but at the same time, it had a historical time of open trade, etc., that it's not available anymore. And the fact that India has the world's largest democracy as well makes it, difficult to sort of look at China as an example. In terms of the United States and the EU, I think the difference is in terms of, again, the initial stock of human capital in the countries. So looking as an economist, simply, one would say the best option for India will be to choose a technology that fits the needs of empowering its people. And so that's something that we all would agree with. But I think the challenge is that sometimes the political economy does not lead you to that, because, and therefore, as a way to think what are the things that India could do to do that, it's similar to this idea of being single-minded. And it's one of the issues will be to sort of begin to think about technology maybe as a unifier in the country, as a way to think, in order to empower people, the only way that we're going to be able to empower people and give them the education and access to services that they need will be by creating a different kind of technology, not a technology that it's used for simply maximizing profits, but technologies that are directed at helping people. And therefore, as a result of that, the idea of building consensus with inclusive coalitions, moving beyond short-term politics, ensuring neutral and independent regulators and state institutions, which again are necessary in order to make sure that the economy works for all, and with the advantage that you already have of having a decentralized system, a federal system, where you can do policy experimentation and local solutions. And this is something that has been observed again in many countries, that decentralization can be used very positively. And the second sort of key way to get there is to double down on something that you already do, which is this public-private innovation. I have had some opportunity to see the work that has been done on digital public technologies. Yesterday, I was invited to the Ministry of Finance, where I was giving a presentation on UPI and where it's going, and I think that shows an example of what India can do following that approach. I think when people showed me that technology, I thought, how is it possible that India could develop these technologies, given coming from Peru and bundling that situation was possible by looking at the fact that you had a team of people that were with high capabilities, both technical, but also understanding what are the local needs. So that focus on the citizens was critical, but also they share this vision of technology as something that was going to be used by all Indians. So here the challenge is simply to double down on that effort of giving priority to innovation that uplifts citizens, empowering the government to work as a startup, because I think it's very difficult to do things in a startup. There is a recent book called NewsX that shows the challenges of people in the US to make the Defense Department innovative, right? And so the challenges are everywhere, even in Silicon Valley, to do that. And so it's important to work with the private sector, creating solutions, but solutions that are market-based. That's a favorite saying of economists, market-based. That means that, yes, in complementary to the public sector, but it needs to be financially sustainable. And as a result of that, I sort of think, and this is talking to some Indian colleagues, that with this united idea of what can be achieved in the future, it is possible to have what I call the ultimate prize for India. I think this will be challenging, very difficult, but it is possible that it can become the world's first citizen-centric tech superpower. That's a mouthful. But basically, it will be the first time where technology is actually used not just for corporations, but actually to benefit people. In all the presentations, every company will say, we are doing this to help people. But it cannot be, because they need to do first serve their the stock, their owners, and to become a prosperous middle income nation. So to increase massively the wealth of the country. And I was told to use the concept of Vishwa Guru, because I think it is possible that following this and following solutions that will be good not just for India, but for the global South, it can inspire through example and leadership. And so that's my wish for India. So thank you so much.